JD Mesh, David Motowati Mashabela, as I fondly call you. You know, we walked literally from our primary days to school and back, 5K. And then we went to high school. We still walked 10 kilometers a day. My friend, you are a good friend, I tell you. I know you are a godfather to my son. You helped during my marriage, counseling. You helped during my downs with my finances. You are a blessing to me, Mashabela. People, they look to you, they can I can help, and you always there to help.
Molelori, I love him. He's a very sweet boy, and all the ana le nkupele botlhoko go rona le go thusanyana mo a thusana nya go bona motho a sokola le ka mmotsa wa emela o le ka o thusa gore nka thusa ka eng motho mo bjalo o senang dintwa ana dipolelo.
I remember even 157 towards Christmas, the parents are in but your mother, my mother, my Felix Stoner. What is really what you want to celebrate a new year? I remember. Saying as you are, you said, Ajo, are high roll about being retuti, we're excited, respect me, Gului. Other moments I cherish my guy. You are an inspiration to most of us.
Oh well, ke mofenye malepe, stole some mabuke, motloka mampila. A medley of good speak about a giant of humanity. What I call a dawn of radio globally, a beloved son, Malumu Odezabamita Day, a businessman, man. I can say a whole lot of things, but what I know is that whatever you just listened to, right, was his best friend, childhood friend, and his mother. We just thought here at KCI&MO's corner that we should honor this giant, and there's no way to honor him without a childhood friend and a mother. Whatever they said is true. I've known this man for over... I think 17 years. And Gil Krodman Laga, a lot of things that he's called me to order into, and whatever you just heard, it's not even the tip of an iceberg. It was just 2 minutes of just saying, we're introducing this giant. Very polite, full of humanity, full of life. He just loved life. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, South Africa and the rest of the world, I present to you the one and only David Cow. This one is David Mashabela. Hi man, thank you very much, man, for honoring us.
No, it's actually quite amazing. It's a bigger production than I thought. I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't realize. I was holding up an entire track of people.
Yeah, no, don't worry, man. People don't even know that you're late. Thank you again for honoring us with your presence, sir. Kizamile, man. Kizamile,
I saw that.
Frodman, start from the beginning when you were young. We tried, so that the viewers can see who David is coming from. Mm-hmm. Yes. Kika go snap samatom.
My mother's house. It looks like leather. So yeah, she Nana style. So it's my mother's house, Mamelodi, A1. And I think I remember it was she narana spot on yana. So it was on one of those crazy Saturdays where people were having drinks outside and we were watching TV or something, I think, in the house. But it's many, many years ago. It's in the early 80s or late 70s. So it's quite a long time ago.
So basically you're a dragon. Okay, all right. Okay, we get it. Now they've been speaking of when you were young and you analyst Potonyana. 12-year-old David Paswane Mashabela. During school holidays goes and he works for his uncle. Mm-hmm. The thinking behind.
we're not having the best of life, man. My mom did not have money to take us to school, shelter care and things like that. And I don't know where I got that ability at that young age to notice that, because most kids at that age, they don't see that. And I was able to see where this setup needs help. And that's when I decided, let me go and let me make a contribution. And my uncle had a shop for Attersville. And now I must give him credit. He brought all the young boys in the family in, to come and help. And very few of us said no to that. So on weekends, that's why we are such a close-knit, set of cousins in that age group, because we all used to go to that shop on weekends. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, we would leave on Sunday afternoon and drive and go carry taxi back to Mamelodi. And that's what we used to do. And that money used to help whereas KCI&MO and so forth. That's the story.
I believe you because Mama Mashabela, she said, and whatever all he did was just to bring the money home and say, Mama, this is what I have.
Yep. That's exactly what I did. Because it wasn't for my entertainment. It was to help at home. When you're asked, how was KCI&MO and KHONA come next door? You realize that the situation is not good. You wait for your mom to come back, and then then you return those 2 slices back to your neighbor next door. You look back at those memories now, and you realize that they built a certain character of a person. So you understand help. You understand that you don't waste resources, you don't waste the money you have, and then you try to help at home if you can. You don't become munna o jango strategy chumza hai o jela go high o tsore KFC o make sure we bula la box we bula ko jarate, and that's really where the thinking came.
Your childhood friend Warren,
that's the voice I had.
Yeah, Warren. He spoke a lot about you. Some of the things I know, some I didn't. It's fine.
Yeah. He told you stuff like that.
Mamelodi.
Yeah.
What is Mamelodi to you?
It's home, man. It's everything. It's my childhood. It's my first kiss. It's where I had dreams of wanting to be on radio. It's the inspiration started there, There was a family 2 houses down, front oppositely have Warren, Kozatara. The kids, they had a lot of young kids in there. And they were quite forward thinking. They were the ones who would tell you about the latest song. They were the ones who tell you about the latest radio station. When Metro was launched in '86, I had it in their yard first. And it's those memories. So Mamelodi to me is those specific memories where the seed was planted and it became whatever it has become to the world. But that's where it was planted. So Mamelodi is everything to me. So when I support Mamelodi Sundowns, it's not just because. It's an emotional attachment to the place, to the neighborhood, to the friends. It's one place where I'm called Dede. The only place where I'm called Dede. Everywhere else I'm either Deva or David or Mashabela. But there I'm Dede. And because I was Dede, Dede is the name my dad gave me. And it's that's why there's such a sentimental attachment. I pass Dede Boom. Immediately I'm Dede. I'm not David or Mashabela or Deva or whatever. And that's why it's such a sentimental place for me.
I like that. The universe sometimes speak. It could be in different languages, Italian or whatever it's called. 86, church confirmation. 86, Metro.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point you worked with Metro, but we'll get on to that. Obulela time. And I remember asking Oledi, why not so ring papa? That man was ring all. So wait, yeah, guy died. Alright, kita papa.
So I didn't even know that. I've never asked that question.
Yeah, no, Oledi rarano. The talkative part, kita papa.
Yeah.
Sanganga, there's a whole lot that I would love to reveal on TV about, because this is about honoring legends. As you can see behind you, there's a wall of legends.
Mm-hmm, I saw that.
Yeah, so you have interviewed a whole lot of legends yourself. Yeah. And I think the reason why, mostly because you don't I believe you don't get the accolades is because you're very private. I know that. And you don't want your business is your business. And you do what you do. Radio is your love.
True.
You do radio, and then after that, you are Mashabela, who's now off radio. What has really made you be off the radar in terms of public platforms and stuff?
The conversation I had with Just Eyes in 2000, it's not that conversation that made me this way. It made me realize that I'm this way. Where he said, radio comes with popularity. Because he was producing breakfast. I was producing his breakfast show. He used to have people bringing flowers and so forth to him. And I noticed already didn't get the perks. Some not so great. There was a lady who used to wait outside the studio for him all the time. It was quite intimidating, actually. It was quite uncomfortable. And I remember him using this phrase. He said, it's like being an accountant. It's a normal job, except you do it in front of a lot of people. That is the only difference. But it must never, ever go to your head. And in that way, you are likely to have a much longer career where even if you're not on radio, it won't be such a big deal to you or to other people. Like you won't feel like something has been taken away from you. You'll just continue as normal. Never, because the worst thing that could ever happen is you are famous and now will. How's I famous? I don't know that people recognize me. I get surprised sometimes when I DJ and people want to take pictures with me. I think they're crazy. But I let them because I realize it means something to them. So how have I become that kind of guy? I have no idea. I've just become that guy who doesn't see any of this.
Oh, well, we see it. And I still remember reason why I not fell in love with you. I think, actually, no, I don't think. You are the first producer ever in the history of radio to ever speak to your presenter.
Well,
on the
maybe
mic,
not.
live on air.
Maybe in your recollection. Maybe some other people used to do it.
Okay, they don't matter. Right now, you matter. You were the first person. I remember when I was doing my third year, I dropped out. I didn't drop out because of you, but I dropped out because I wanted to do TV and film. But I used to listen to Just Eyes, The Morning Parliament.
Yes. In
And
2000.
Yeah, and there was this guy who they said is a producer, but he's always coming in with this first party voice, you know.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, well, I figured that. And I fell in love with you then.
Sure.
Maybe it's because of how you and Just Eyes used to do radio. Because it was out of the norm. A producer must be quiet. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
so you were the guys that was, I know I'm paid. And you made me fall in love with radio. And I fell in love with Metro. There was no Metro in Palabora. So I fell in love with Metro.
Yeah.
And then before we know it, I think you were writing for a newspaper about radio.
Yeah. It's the other way around.
Is it the other way around?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I loved radio and I couldn't get a gig. It's really that simple. I fell in love with radio when I was in high school. When I got to varsity, I joined Auto X Radio, the same station where Just Eyes started. And also Kenny Macy started the same station in Durban. And when I finished my degree, I came back to Joburg, Pretoria, so to speak. I couldn't get a radio gig. I went to TNT in Soshanguve because they were auditioning. Greg Maloka, interesting, auditioned me. He didn't give me a gig. And he moved to Y when Y was launching. I was in front of him again. He still didn't give me a gig. And I joined an advertising agency. While I was at the ad agency, I met up with Bondo Ntuli. We had called him up for a voice. We were recording a voice for BET. And we needed a big voice to do a jazzy type of script. And I told him, when I listened to your show on YFM, I used to do Saturday breakfast or something. I listened to a show on Y. I've done radio, you know, the typical, you know, you've had this before when people want to do what you do. And he said, why don't you write about it? You already work for an ad agency. I said, yeah, maybe I should do that. And that's really what happened. I wrote what today is considered a blog.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote an article. I took it to City Press. I knocked on their door. Innocently, they told me, go speak to that guy, Vukani Pukwani at the time.
With dreadlocks?
Yeah,
glasses.
long dreadlocks, you know. He was an entertainment editor. He looked at it and said, how many of these can you do? or is it just you're lucky just for today? I'm sure I can do this often. And he said, we're not going to pay you for 3 months and see if you can keep this going. Go into that room, take a picture. And you know how back then they used to have a little picture of a columnist. And I took a picture. Next week, that very blog or that article was in the paper. I wrote for 3 years. In that 3 years, I would write about different radio stations, and one of them was Metro. I always left demos at Metro that they ignored. I poked Romeo, because he was the boss at the time, with the article that I had written. And he loved, I don't think he liked the story, actually. He wanted to explain the story. He wanted to explain what I'd written. Or no, boy, this is what you're thinking, but this is the reality. Typical PR spin. He asked me for a meeting. I still remember I met Sis H for the first time. He used to be PA at Romeo at the time.
That would be Sis Hazel.
Sis Hazel, yes.
All right, okay.
She gave me a bag and a cap. It was such a special meeting for me. It's like, look, I'm here. So, and slowly, it became, what else can you do for us as Metro? That was Romeo. Because now we had line of contact. He would call me often to ask different questions about lineup changes. What is my opinion on that? It seems he respected what I had to say. And that led to, what can you do for us? And I said, Flip, I want to be on radio. I used to do radio at varsity. No, forget that. What else can you do? And he gave me a gig as a producer. I remember the offer then was either breakfast or afternoon drive. Glenn was doing breakfast, another afternoon, and T-Bose was doing breakfast. But they moved him to night when he did T-Bose by Starlight. And then Ice was given the breakfast show, and he asked, either you do breakfast or afternoon drive as a producer. I said, I don't even have a clue what producers do. He said, well, you learn. And that was it. I said, I'll choose breakfast because I know Ice. Because he was the first person to ever put me in a radio studio in Durban, a proper professional radio studio, when he was working for Capital Radio. I went and visited him in the middle of the night, and he showed me around. So I said, I'll go work with this guy. And that was the beginning of my Metro career.
Oh, yeah.
You see, it was the paper before the radio.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yo, Vet, you have a whole lot of history. If one was to write history, a book about you, probably I could have 3 volumes. and this is just me, the young boy who never even grew with you. Now imagine those.
We've hung around each other a while. We see that.
Hey, before I reveal a lot, guys, this is David Mashabela Dede. Let's meet after the break.
Zamal TV SA. Zamal TV SA.
Oh, well, before the break, guys, Mashabela Arikiamutsevela. But what I know is that this guy, but unamete Kilimanjaro. But that is quite a feat.
Yeah. Not after you've done it.
No Rutlanzaging.
I do have that adventurous side. I haven't seen that guy in a while, though. Wow jumper of aeroplanes. I've done that too.
Oh.
So wow jumper of bloke runs. That's the, what's that? Titsikama went and jumped off a bridge. I've done all of that. So Kilimanjaro was just one of them. So it wasn't specific or singled out of others. It was just part of everything else that I wanted to do. Almost like ticking boxes of your bucket list. So that's really what I was doing.
But
so that's no other reason.
But Kilimanjaro sounds like from those who have climbed Kilimanjaro. It's like at the Pamplona with the Maitada provoking the raging bull. So I'm just trying to think as you go up, because first of all, I don't understand this thing of altitude, height, and whatever. It gets colder, and what happens? The experience.
It's there's thinner oxygen. The higher you go, a higher altitude, your body is able to do what it's doing now, because it gets enough oxygen. The less oxygen you have in the air, you struggle to breathe. And some of the symptoms is vomiting, diarrhea, you name it. You go through, your body saying this is foreign to me. I don't know what's going on. And when the body doesn't understand things, it tries to vomit out. That's why the first thing your body does is tries to throw them out. So that's my experience. I vomited a lot. I vomited everything I had in my stomach because my body was struggling to adjust. But it's not the same for everyone. It's like COVID. It doesn't treat people the same way. Some people live through it, some people die. Or some people get so sick, almost die, but they survive it. I think I was the latter, the one who almost got too close to death, but I made it. It was a horrible experience. However, I survived it and I got to the top.
Yeah, man, because I always find this tantamount to like those people who have sex and say, strangle me like, one day, like you.
I didn't know there were people like that. Do you want to tell us something?
And in your preparation for Mount Kilimanjaro, you walked from Midrand to Mamelodi.
I did it twice. I needed to get my mind right because there's something I was told about the walk to Kilimanjaro. It's a lonely walk. You're alone in your thoughts for too long. And it's easy for your brain to say, turn back. It's like when you're trying to lift weights and they're getting heavy, and if you're doing it alone, no one is motivating you. You're likely to say, to stop. If you're trying to run 10 kilometers, when you get to 2, you decide, this is too hard, I'm going home. So I wanted to test my body to that point, or my mind more than anything. Or can I subject it to an environment where I will have to think about turning back and I will be required to go, to carry on. And I did. I decided, I woke up one random morning and I walked to Mamelodi from Midrand. I think it's about 60 kilometers or so. And I got there.
And then the height of Kilimanjaro itself?
Yeah, well, I don't even remember. I know it took us 3.5 days. So I don't even remember how far that was, but it took us 3.5 days.
3.5 days, so there are spaza shops up as you go?
They're not spaza shops, they're stops.
Oh.
And those stops, I chose the route that had cabins, so I sleep in a cabin, not in a tent.
Okay.
And we get served food. We travel with a guide. So there's a guy who cooks for us and the guy who helps us to carry stuff.
Oh.
So that's who I was traveling with. I was traveling with someone who was cooking over there, like almost a day ahead of you. And they get there, they prepare. When you arrive, they are ready for you. And that's what happened.
Yeah. You, as we say, you are a legend, Sanganga. And you don't take yourself serious to be a legend. We believe you are. No. But what do you think you are known mostly for?
I think radio more than anything, because I've done it for so long. You know, I've been on air since 2000, professional radio, as in Metro and SABC. So yeah, people immediate reference when you say Mashabela, it's radio. I was driving from the Free State this weekend and I stopped at a petrol station and some guy recognized me. I still get surprised when people recognize me. And he was excited. He said, hey, you were off on Wednesday and Thursday. I was so upset. You know, so people, my only clear reference to me is radio, nothing else. Understandably, it's the only dance move I got. I dance on radio.
The day, I think this is worth mentioning, guys. Warren said they used to walk 10 kilometers to and from school. I've always known him as the guy who always books me for voiceovers because of a pandemonium voice. But the day he became a brother to me, I was stranded somewhere in Angola, guys. Angola, of all places. And I called everybody else. And then my last resort, it was not even my last, but I was like, hey, let me try. Can't be stranded here. I mean, in a foreign country, this is the situation. This man didn't ask me, no DIang, whatever. He just said, send me your account numbers. I sent him your account numbers and sent me thousands and thousands of rands, guys. So I had to change them to dollars in Angola. And that's how I got to be saved. And then since then, he's always been my brother. And I feel like I'm indebted to him. I keep telling him that even if he were to be somewhere else and say, come save my life, I'll do that. Yes, you're right. They know you for radio. I know you for other things. What is radio now in South Africa? As a radio critic yourself. Because there was a time where, I'll tell you something, a friend of mine said, Emona, Brian Howe makes radio so fun. I got a broadcaster from the backyard of his house. remember, I think
Yeah,
I told
you
you
told
that
me that,
his
yeah.
name is Freddy.
Yes.
And I know you're a radio critic. What is radio to you now?
Like most things, it's going through a natural evolution, and a natural evolution of anything will always have different elements. The historic ones, like us, who do it in a very old school way, and there'll always be these young guys who want to do it using the technology of the day, your social medias. They will not do a link without mentioning their Twitter handle and things like that. I never mention that. So it goes through a natural evolution. It's still an important part of South Africa's makeup, because it's one of the most important sources of information to millions and millions of South Africans. They rely on radio for the most important part of their day and for the information that it has to provide. That's why I say, when you have that platform, you can't waste it by just laughing or telling jokes or playing only music. There must be something, even if it's hidden behind the music and the jokes. There must be something important that you're trying to do. But there's nothing. I'm always expected to think radio is not particularly great right now. I think radio is what it is because of the consumers that it presents to, and the audience that listen to it and enjoy it, and the people that are doing it. We have young people now who play music that young people enjoy. And for those young people to hear it, they listen to those other young people. So they meet each other. There was a time when I was on radio, Kwaito was at the top of its game. And even then, it was noise to other people. And it was fun to other people. So you can never be too critical of it. You find young people today on radio who it's all about them. They tell you where they were this weekend, what they were doing, with whom, what car they were driving. And the audience that's listening, they seem to be happy with that because they keep coming back every day for it. So you can never judge natural progression of something. You can never say, well, but now it doesn't sound so great. I think there's radio for everyone. And you pick the one that suits you and move on, and not judge others who have picked something else that you don't like, because I cannot say but I will buy you alcohol and cigarettes if you want them, and that's just my life.
About something that suits you. As a radio scholar yourself, I know, and I think you were busy with your thesis. Yeah. You've got a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
And I believe in the 3-hour show, how many songs do you play?
Geez, on average, I prepare 20 songs, and I let the station give me whatever songs they want to fill up the remainder. So there's at least 30 songs, give or take.
All right. In those 30 songs, segment by segment, and I'm saying that was DJ Mashabela. Oh, what a lovely track, and blah, 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 blah. Continue. Oh, such a beautiful song.
I would never say that.
Aha, I'm glad. Now, other songs with other DJs, you hear them, or radio presenters and on-air talent, you hear them saying this song was nice. Out of 30 songs, you only said 3 songs were beautiful and dope. What about the 27?
You're being too critical. We feel different about different songs at different times, because different songs have a different meaning to you on different days. A song, I Miss You, by the OJs may mean something else to you today because there's somebody you're missing. A song, Yama Piano, Ya Amifa Kulikabza, Ere Asibe Happy, may mean something else to you today. So today the song is beautiful to me. Tomorrow I would say it's exciting. The other day I would say, wow, it's so uplifting. So you can't be too critical about how I described it. Otherwise, you'll expect me to say the same thing over and over and over and over again, and I can't do that. Remember, radio hosts to music, they are salesmen. Their job is to make the moment sound bigger than it is. My job is to make you think, wow, man, it probably is nice, that song. And you had it. And what's worse about radio listeners, chances are that they even have it in their own car. They can play it anytime they want. But they say, when you play it, it sounds nicer. It's pretty much because of what I say before it or after it. Or I said, there's such a song that's still coming. And that already gets them going. So that's really what it is. I think you're being too critical.
I've always had a problem with on-air talent. mention all the songs that they're beautiful. That's why they are on the playlist on the channel. So
putting
if
me in
you
a trap.
don't, Rena Baba, who are too critical, will think you're having a braai with us, the producers of the songs. That's why you're always saying this song is beautiful because you're not saying anything about the other songs.
I hear you, but it's you're being too critical. I play 30 songs. Imagine if I had to say that's beautiful every time.
Don't say, because you're not going to say to all the songs that are beautiful. So you might as well not.
That's why I say you're being too critical.
All right, it's fine. No problem. That's me being a politician of entertainment. Radio 2000, you've been there for the longest of time.
It's 11 years now.
11 years.
Yeah. And they're not aware, so don't tell them. They think I got there 2 weeks ago.
It's a radio station that I think it grew from 300 and something thousand to 2 million. And
Actually, no, from 891,000 to 2 million. So we were not too far.
No. You guys started at 385,000.
No, start. When I get it from 2.
Okay, it's fine.
I get it started at 0 age. Yes, there was some time when you were this small.
Okay, yeah.
You get what I mean? So from 10 to 11. Yeah, so we were in 2020 we were 890,000. And in 2022, 21, we were 2 million.
And it goes without saying that you've contributed towards the growth of Radio 2000.
I hope so.
But there's something, because it's you, who's a natural talent. You know, the other, we won't mention names, that you can just hear these people are forcing to be on radio. Or probably they know the programs manager or somebody else. Or they feel like the voice is too lovely.
Such a politician.
It's fine. So there was a show that you did at night. Famous show.
One Night with the King.
One Night with the King. Yeah. Why do you think actually you were moved from there? Because that was the show that said there's a radio station called Radio 2000 because of this certain show.
I don't know. That's your perspective. I was moved because it was time for growth for me as well. Remember, like most careers, you can be great as in that corner, but there's a much bigger corner elsewhere that you can fill and maybe do better or maybe make a positive contribution towards. One Night with the King, and I must admit, it was first called One Night Stand with the King, and I was asked to remove the stand. I remember it very emotionally because it was an important show for me. I did it for six years, and I enjoyed it. It was a part of me. It was a part of my DNA. But there was time when I was asked by station management, would you mind moving to daytime? And I said, I would still like to play the same music wherever you move me. And they said, yeah, we'll put you 9 to 12 mid-morning. You can still keep it mellow. And I said, great, I'll do that gladly. And I was moved to that because when they think you're doing well in radio, they give you what they consider a bigger show. And that was the reason, no other reason. And I always look back at it and say, I think it made my career even bigger. Nobody recognized me when I was working at night. As an example. And now, geez, man, I go to Mashabela, it's like Chris Walker has just walked in. You know?
But the pundits of radio, they say, you must know once you are getting closer to the drive times.
Yeah.
It means now it's about time for you to be toppled because after that there's nothing.
Well, I agree with the sentiments. However, you can stay long on breakfast or drive time. Mark Gilman was at 5 for 11 years. Jeremy Mansfield was at 94.7 for over 10 years. You can stay long at breakfast. And Just Ice did breakfast for 10 years at 2000. So people are not aware when he did it for 10 years. So you see, you can stay long. So reaching the top, so to speak, breakfast to afternoon drive, and those who say it's time, it probably means it's about to end. Yeah, well, it can last for 10 years. It's longer than a presidential term, 2 terms for that matter. So it's quite long. So even if it represents the end, it would have been a great ending.
Well, myself, this is me. I don't see you doing afternoon because As they say, your radio is background. It's the backyard radio. You know, it's.
Jeez, man, I'm glad you're not program manager. You'd never give me afternoon drive.
But we know the program manager who was up against you and anti you, and he's gone, by the way. But it's not. We're not going to talk about that. Singanga, you mentioned earlier on that you worked for an advertising agency before. That's when you started writing the radio blog.
Yes.
Now, you are sitting here in your high office, because I know your office is upstairs.
Well,
yeah,
this is one floor.
And you're looking down and reflecting back. You worked at an advertising agency, and now you have your own Mashabela Creatives.
Mm-hmm.
The shift, and you saying, now I'm doing this. What brought on about that?
It wasn't that simple. It was a gradual growth, probably 5 years in the making. I started recording ads, a skill that I learned at Metro. When radio was different then. In 99, 2000, when I joined, you were a producer, as in content, and you were also a sound engineer for the show. That means you did the promos and stuff. So I had to learn that skill. Remember when Romeo hired me, I said, I know nothing about this job. So I had to learn very quickly those skills. And this radio recording of ads, radio recording of promo skill, I quite enjoyed, to a point where I decided to have my own studios at the SABC. And my first client was, who was it? Smirnoff. I used to do Smirnoff dance shows. It's just a long 1 hour show, dance show, like a mix, but with DJs talking. It was Clema Wesa and I forgot which other guy was doing it. And we used to record their voices and mix them. And that's what I used to do. It used to pay me an extra 20 G's a month. And I thought, this is cool. So I would buy equipment every time I got money. And that's why I say it was a gradual growth. And suddenly I realized that I can do this for other people, not just Smirnoff. I did it for Smirnoff for about a year. Tibo's Mkwele, that's where I bought my first set of equipment, actually. He had equipment at his house that he wasn't using. So I said to him, let me give you cash and take the equipment. I didn't have enough. I paid him off over 2 months. I remember that. So I had this equipment in the studio. I started approaching Lotto, a national lottery. At the time, they were doing Tata Machans, Tata Mamillion, those ads. I used to record those ads in my studio at the SABC. Now, I was also a tenant at the SABC. I wasn't just producing the show. And with time, I said, hey, those advertising skills that I acquired years ago, I should try to sell them to other agencies, and rather to other clients. I started growing a portfolio of work, but largely in the recording and writing of radio ads. Slowly, I figured, you know what, why don't I just do billboards as well? Why don't I do print ads? And gradually, it grew into a business. I moved out of the SABC. I bought a property, which I turned into offices, and I've been there now for 11 years. So that's why I say it wasn't a shift. It was a very slow growth.
Even us ourselves, we would love to buy properties. That's why probably we need to take an ad break. Probably we might get advertisers so we can buy our own properties.
Zamal TV SA. Zamal TV SA.
Back from the break, we're about to buy our own property. Tata Mashabela. The Golf one. There. Apparently, that's your first car.
Yeah.
That brought in over 28 cars later. Why the love for cars?
It's my mom and my dad. I promise you. The only memory I have of my dad, only memory, I was in a car. He passed away when I was 3, so I have no reference to him at all. But that memory is so sharp, it's so clear in my head. It was a Valiant, a V6. Beautiful sound. Beautiful, beautiful sound. So I still remember that memory so clearly. And every time I try to justify why I love cars so much, that memory always crosses my mind without fail. So it must be that memory. My mom couldn't drive, bought a car, and my dad drove it. and that's why I remember it was with my uncle. We went to fetch my dad at work, and I was sitting in the front seat, and he came in, and my uncle moved from the driver's seat to the passenger seat, and I was told to sit at the back. I remember that so clearly. And that's why I think there's a love for cars. For cars, I will always admire V8 engines. The sound is just amazing. That's why I've acquired a few of them.
Yeah, because when the first thing that you see when you just drive into your office, cars on the right, cars in the driveway, cars on the other side. But it's such a beautiful office, I must say.
Classic cars, I must point out. I don't care much for modern cars, so I buy cars whose value is retained. The one Mustang I bought for 190,000 rands is worth almost R1 million now. So it's cars whose value, and I bought it in 2009, so it's been a while. And I have tuned it up so nicely that its value has gone up, unlike other cars who lose value.
Since 2009?
2000.
Then this boy MacG was not lying when he says, this is what he says, you are the richest mother alive.
Oh, no. Then he doesn't know a lot of people. It's not my fault. It's not my
Speaking of MacG,
yeah.
You know, one would not even associate David with MacG.
Yeah.
But it must be mentioned that the love that you've given the boy when he was an outlier of some sort and a renegade, when nobody actually really wanted to be associated with him, and you yourself risking de-association from associations. Mm-hmm. How did you even come about that? Because one could not even match MacG and David Mashabela.
We met at a funeral, at Chile M's funeral. And I had recorded the Radio Legends podcasts. And I was planning to launch them. And Chile M was the last interview that I had done. And he passed away. Chile M passed away literally 2 weeks after I interviewed him. And when we met, somebody told him about me. And I found out about him too. I didn't know him at all. And we started talking. And that conversation led to, let's meet sometime later this week. And we did meet again. And we found common ground, as people. Before the radio guy, before the podcast guy, before podcast and chill, there's people. And we had a commonalities about how we see things, particularly about broadcasting, where we think it's going, where there won't be appointment viewing like we have now, where my show happens at 12 to 3 and it's specific to that time. You can't listen to it whenever you want. So we agreed on a lot of things like that. And that's why, and note, he had already started Podcast and Chill, but it wasn't as big as it has become. And we started talking about working together, but we didn't know what to do together. And that's really where we were. And we started thinking about selling the idea of podcasts to, cell phone companies. So Telkom has their own podcasting platform where all of you can load your own podcast there. Those are the type of conversations we're having, and we continue to have these conversations. We're still looking for something to do together, for the record. So, and I said to him, I have studios. And he said, yeah, he doesn't want to record at the Ghost Lady's house anymore. They're looking for a place to go. I said, I have studios here, so you can use them, and we see how far that goes. And it's been almost a year now, probably more than a year now. So there's nothing to it but two guys who found a common ground, and they're happy to share things. Nothing more than that.
And you were not even afraid of the backlash. You're like,
no,
it's
man.
David, and now he's giving this boy. No, I'm saying all this because, most of us are prophets of doom, and all we just don't want successes for other people. We'll always find things. For example, there are many people, I'm just you, the David that I know. Had you not known MacG, probably the subject matter wouldn't be your... No. You see? But I'm just saying, looking at people, they'll always find this thing. And I think you've done a great job not because you wanted to come out and say you're supporting a young black boy who's got dreams and whatever. Yeah, I know he's a troublemaker, that boy. But truth of the matter...
Interesting. I don't think he's a troublemaker. Do you mind if I interrupt that point? I think he's a pioneer. And we call him a troublemaker. I think he's redefining how media is consumed. He's the biggest urban podcast in the world right now. And you can't say people are not eating up what he's feeding them. There's an audience that wants nothing else. There's a what's that, a Twitter page called True Chiller. There are people who call themselves chillers. You know, there's a whole world of people who think what he's doing is what they've always wanted. It's like JJ Taban. People think he's a crazy idiot, but he's got such a strong following. So that's why I say, for me, MacG is a pioneer, and pioneers will always be called names and be called this and that. Mandela was a pioneer, and he was called a terrorist. You see what I mean? So we always come across these people. He called me once, I remember, he said, this thing, the fire is too hot. I'm not sure, man, if I should still carry on. I said, pioneers will always feel the heat because you're in the front. All of us will come, once you've opened the door, you will feel the heat and people will remember what you've done. Keep going. Never ever think about stopping. So sorry I interjected.
No problem. Me saying he's a troublemaker does not mean I watch his show. I do watch his show. I love them. And actually, I remember this other time I was at your office. I was like, I don't know, man. There's something. I think I was speaking to Oslerat and said, there's something about this boy that has not even been out there yet. I know him as MacG, but there's something. His aura is something else. Oskido was a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. Who would carry or ferry his grandmother on a caravel that's written Zdula says fair? He was a troublemaker. I'm not saying it in the negative.
Your grandma and where's this Zdula says fair?
Like, first of all, MacG of MacG can speak profanity amongst elders. And it does not mean disrespect.
He did next to my mom once.
He said,
oh, sorry.
And it does not mean in a negative way. He's just him. He's just there to brew trouble. And so that, as you say, is the biggest, I think after Joe Rogan, if I'm not lying.
No. Joe Rogan is too far big.
But after him.
Eben is amongst Botaki in the world.
For that, I need to applaud you because that is out of David's character.
I guess.
It's like taking another team called Kaizer Chiefs and buying it, and as a fan of Mamelodi Sundowns and making Chiefs a new Chiefs.
Maybe there's more to me than meets the eyes. How's that?
Is there anyone who can confirm that? Ndate Mashabela, I've watched your growth. And there was a time where I sat down with you and I didn't know how to say this. Because I felt like you were a shadow of your former self. Mm. I need to know, live on TV, or it's not even live, it's pre-recorded, but yeah, you know what I mean. Is the spark back of the David that we got to know?
I don't know. It's a struggle, man. Life is we're given a set number of years. We are born and we die. It's what we do in the middle that defines us. You're guaranteed of two events. Your birth is done, your death is coming, and how do you make it interesting? And it's a challenge. We live in a life where we're trying to find something to do. That's all we do every single day. That's why when they punish you, they remove things that you're supposed to be doing. They put you in prison, for example. When you get there, you have nothing to do the whole day. If you do something wrong in prison, they even isolate you more by putting you in solitary confinement. Because the worst thing you can ever do to humans is take away things that they can do, somewhere to go, some people to talk to. So the reason I tell you this long, convoluted nothing is because I have found the things that I wanted to do very early on in my life. And I've done them. And I got to a point where I said, what else do I do now? And the thing about having dreams is you forget that one day you'll actually achieve them. So I achieved them. And I remember thinking, oh boy, what's next? I'm still in the what's next space. I've defined a few things now that they make a lot more sense. And your question is, have I found the spark? Not by a long shot. I look for it every day. I sometimes look for it in the wrong places. I'm lucky not in the bar, but I forever look for it. And I still hope to find the spark that I had 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But it comes with having new goals and new aspirations. God has blessed me with the money that other people can only dream of. And I'm always lucky for that. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, But I realized that money it means nothing in the bigger picture of life. There's a lot more that you can do with your life. You can have all the money in the world if you don't have love, if you don't have a good surrounding, good friends and laughter, the money means nothing. You can have all the cars, but if you have none of that. So I think now I have new dreams, I have new aspirations. Starting a family, because I've compromised that quite a bit. You know, I'm turning 47 this year. I don't have a single child unless somebody has my kid and they haven't told me. You know, so it's all those things. And I always look at it and say, I compromised a lot in my life, chasing the illusion that life is painted, that you must work hard and make money and all of that. And you realize that it's tricky to do that and still do this as well. I don't know how Patrice pulled it off, but you get what I mean. So now I have new goals, man. I have probably 40 more years. I don't want to waste it on chasing money anymore. You know, I want to do other things with people.
Earlier on, you mentioned something that people must not be stopped or be deprived of doing things that they love. Hopefully my team is listening, guys. You know what I love and I don't want to be stopped. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Are we talking about porn again?
This guy.
Nah, it's a joke.
You spoke of money and you've achieved a whole lot of things and then you've compromised on family and stuff. My old lady says she's tired of telling you need to get married. You need a wife.
She stopped 5 years ago.
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago you had a conversation with Warren about it. Mm-hmm. Mama doesn't know.
Warren mentioned that.
We research, Chief. We research. Why now? Is it because now you are accumulated enough?
No, not at all. Interesting. I have less now than I used to. It's because I've just grown. I've grown in my mind. There's no specific moment about now. It could have happened a year ago. It just happened now. I don't my aloneness anymore. It's not a complicated concept. At some point, that's all I wanted, my aloneness, because I would learn new things. I would teach myself stuff. I would listen to the music and define my radio career. I would practice. And now I got to a point where it doesn't matter so much anymore. I look at it and say, I get sad when my staff members leave, that I'm alone again. So the aloneness is no longer fun anymore. And that's probably where I'm at. I don't look forward to it anymore like I used to. I used to look forward to weekends because I would be alone and no one would bother me. So I would leave my phone and never care for it. But I think I've changed. I've just grown older. Yeah. I don't enjoy it anymore. It's like someone that used to eat chomp and now they don't like it anymore. I don't know if you know chomp.
I do, like with the hippo. Come on, dog. I know what you're talking about because I used to call you a public recluse because you are with everybody else, but you are a loner.
Yeah.
I've known you like that.
And I used to enjoy it.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think it had to do with, because you and I used to have intimate, serious conversations about our lives.
Yes.
And I
miss that, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Lena miss it, but things, But yeah, I had to build this, Lena, this is my own Mashabela Creatives as well.
I see that. It's bigger than Mashabela Creatives.
So I remember you were specific. So guys, I need to clear this one out. I used to be an angry guy who didn't understand that I don't own anything on a woman's body. It was this man who made me aware of that. And ever since then, I've always been this liberal guy. Wouldn't you say reason why you are not married is because the specific kind of woman that you had on your ideals has not even come to your front?
No. I think I've missed the opportunity to get married many, many times. If we were to talk about a specific woman, I've had many opportunities. It's my fault. I am the only one to blame in that regard. I made sure that they leave. I would work hard to ruin the whole operation, and they would leave. Once they get too close, I would mess it up. And I've done it too many times. So it's not them. Trust me, it's not a specific one. I've had too many chances. I have a bag full of could have, should have. A bag full.
Would you say in your regrets?
It's not a big regret. The word regret makes it sound so heavy.
Okay, would you say in your bloopers, you can take a passport and go to Botswana and come back with something, or take cows to Botswana?
No. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Don't worry, it's a code between me and him. You
Not
guys would.
Botswana. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the Vaal, maybe Eastern Cape, maybe Pretoria.
So, Ndata Mashabela, I need to re-emphasize the fact that you came today and honored us on a day that's not really slightly okay for you. I want to thank you enough, and hopefully that we are going to see a volume or version 2 of this.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot that we could talk about. There's
Absolutely.
a whole lot that South Africa.
You touched on a lot, though.
Yeah, South Africa needs to know a whole lot about you. And I was telling one of the team members that I'm afraid, guys, this interview is very personal for me. So this is our way as Samal TV to honor legends, but for me, it's too deep because this person I know, and I know too deep, and I don't know what to ask. I'm afraid because I don't want to get to a point where I become over familiar and I don't know what not to. One thing I read today on the internet was that
I'm on the internet? I didn't know that. I've made it, Mus.
Yeah, you are. There's King David Studios. Yeah. There's Mashabela.co.za. So they said what they're struggling with. It's your net worth, your wife, your partner. And I realized that this man has always been in public spaces, but has really kept his life private. Unintentionally, so I believe. But because you've always been that guy.
Yeah, it's very intentional. I would never be in public.
I just want the public to know that besides the voice they hear on radio, you're a great humanitarian, sir.
Thank you.
A whole lot of us are inspired by you. We can never be close to what you are in terms of the golden heart that you have. And we would love to tell you that don't even change. Even most of us are buttholes because people are always like that. They will battle leg and stuff. Here at Samal TV, we honor legends, and you are our legends. We needed to honor you. You are you are the dawn of Radio Baba. We must not even lie about that. That's why the longevity that you have. And hopefully next time when you come here, it won't be me sitting here because I struggled a whole lot, so you know, to ask questions. Because
don't worry about it. It was great.
So behind you, there's a wall. There's a wall of legends. Normally when they come here, they sign. We see their signature. Yeah. That is we're going to preserve in our skipet so that generations and generations after, when they come, they should know that at some point in our lives, there was a great man who did radio so effortlessly without even being something that is not. If you say you'll do us the honor, get up, I'll give you the mark, this mark, so you sign for us.
Done. Thank you. I don't mind that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, when I'm talking, you know, show as a
They say this thing is flipping heavy, guys, and indeed it's heavy. Just like. Normally guests, when they come here after signing there, we give them this as a gift, but not this. Okay. This is the greatest ever, most expensive gift from Samal TV to a guest.
Yes, sir.
This is yours. Carry it. If I was utorobe.
Yes, yes.
I'm sure you can see what's written there.
Wow, this is so cool. Yes. This is heavy.
Wow. Yes, this is the book. Like they say men normally want is a toothbrush, a cologne, a book to read so they can expand their knowledge, and a purpose in life. And we hopefully that you're going to preserve your purpose in life in this, because you said the spark is gone. Hopefully you're going to preserve them here. The spark that you need to, sir.
Jeez, man, look at that.
Yes,
where
sir.
In the world am I going to keep this? It's so big. Wow. Hey,
yeah, when we say we take you seriously, we seriously mean
No,
it.
you do, man.
We
Wow,
take you
this
serious,
is
man.
too much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What's going on, boss?
Arazama, you must thank the team, man. They made it happen.
No, La Rock. Wow, this is. It even has my name.
Yes, it's your book. It's the book of death. So.
Wow. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much. Wow, this is too much.
Guys, I can close this now.
I never get gifts. You know that.
Well, I bought
No.
I bought you a book of Jay-Z. What are you talking about?
He bought me wine.
I bought you a book. Yeah, Jay-Z. What are you talking about on your birthday?
Wow, man, thank you very much. Actually, yes, you did. You bought me the Jay-Z book.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's our way to say.
Jeez, that's big. That's unheard of.
Yeah, well.
La Shoma. Whoa.
Next time when I say we take you serious, just take me serious for saying we take you serious.
No, yeah. I think you're not.
I get on level of jahili. Ke problem. I get kitabera. I can find like I'm a so what does he know? You won't do better than me. But yeah,
nothing like that.
Yeah, as we wrap up, man. Parting shots. I don't know. There are a whole lot of people that are despondent in the world, and there's a whole lot of negativity that's going on. If you want to add on to that, but I don't know you to be a negative person, it's fine. You can add on that. But words to inspire anybody else, whether young or old, out there, as we wrap up and we could do the credits going up and stuff.
Well, it's not complicated. Life is hard. Nobody said we'll get a good deal. We get the deal we want, the deal we choose. I say this because you can decide to change it, not only with your hands, not only with your circumstances, but with your thoughts. Even the worst of moments, you can look out and say, I wish for a better day. I see a better day in my life. And I say these words to remind myself, by the way, that tomorrow should not be as bad as today if you have anything to do about it. Never think that it's all somebody else is going to fix it. It all literally lies in your hands. And if today was bad, try to make tomorrow an even better day, and the following day an even better day. And eventually you get to a place that's great. Not all my days are great. Today is a typical example of a horrible day for me. However, I keep going. I've been blessed to have these opportunities where in the middle of a storm, I'm still forced to come here. And I say use the word forced because the circumstances I'm going through are so bad that I would not have come here any other time. But I came here and I was able to forget for about an hour or two. And that is the blessing that I needed in the day. And I say to you that there'll always be those moments where life is really, really hard. But what else can you do, man? You hope and pray for a better day. And you keep going and you never stop. And I guarantee you, it'll be okay. And one day it'll all end. So don't worry about it.
Well, I'm glad you graced us with your presence. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we tried to look also creative and stuff because we know you love LPs and stuff.
I do. I bought 2,000 rands worth this past weekend.
Serious?
I buy too many of them.
From the crew to us, you can just choose anyone that you want from this.
I'll go through them. Trust me, I will choose one.
Guys, we're about to wrap it up, and it's been an emotional episode for me for many reasons, guys. And I feel like I've done dishonor to this man, mostly because I feel like today it's his bad day. I mean, his bad day, and I brought him here. And
no, man, don't worry about it.
Whoever is going to do season 2 of KCI&MO's Corner, please, we need this man again so that we can learn and hear a whole lot of stories and we can inspire. In the history books of South African radio, there must be some sort of a block on where it's archived about this man.
I wanna take you back to the days of your born chaka chaka, to my like another future, which is Desert and my brother. Gonna the days when artists had that raw talent. Now the industry has gotten feminine like Honda Ballet. We dedicate this one to musicians that left legacy, those with us and those who had to face death tragically. We miss you, we hope to meet you in next life. Show me your L's for Aliyah Lebo when left.
Let me take you back to the beginning when songbirds were singing and bringing down the house with tunes that stayed ringing.
The MAL TV SA. when there's nothing else. Reimagine.